and we don't even have to try anymore so much. Are we always going to hit it right? Probably not, but we become stronger in that. And I see most life patterns as like a muscle that we have to work going to the gym. You know,
Right.
you've got a strong muscle with your weight loss. You've had to build that muscle, and you might have had to start. You said you lost 130 pounds. You had to start with a weak muscle in that area, but you worked it, and you probably didn't hit it right every time either. But because
Still
you
don't.
never quit,
Yeah. It's still developing.
you've never quit. So now you have a muscle that's much, much stronger than what it was. And
Right.
so that is my point of view. Not everything's going to work, and you may hit that big disappointment of a broken marriage or a loss of a loved one or a total financial failure or an addiction that grabs you and you don't know how to break free from it, or your children do something that you don't know how to get along with them anymore, or your parents do something that you just, oh my gosh, these are my parents, but I don't know what to do with them. Those are the scenarios that I'd like to speak to and say, you're pretty normal. It happens. We don't want it to happen, but disappointments happen. And the thing of it is not to stay there,
Right.
but to try again and to get more help, ask more people, invite more people in your journey, the right people again, like we said. So yeah.
And never ever giving up.
Yes.
Because I had tried to lose weight like so many times over and over again. I'd self-sabotage myself. And then I put in place some mindset pieces and everything. But what I'm saying is you never give up on yourself just because you didn't do it. And to the audience out there, I'd really like to stress this because this was important to me. Just because you didn't do it last year, just because you didn't make your New Year's resolution, or you've made a mess of your life, does not dictate at all what can happen in the future. The future is yours to create. And so we try, like my mom used to say, try again. And we never give up on ourselves.
That's really good. I heard a story from a gentleman who is a Latino, and maybe 15, 20 years ago, he had a dream to have the American opportunity for a life. And he was deported 16 times. I think this was in the California area. And on maybe his 17th time to be in America, he was collecting tin cans to try to get ahead with something. And so he would go to these restaurants and places and go through their trash digging for tin cans or whatever else he could find. And this restaurant owner caught him, and he was angry at him. And so he had to sit down with him and said, you da-da-da, whatever. And so he said, now get out. And when he looked back, he said, well, can I get my tin cans, my sack of tin cans before I go? And that melted the restaurant owner's heart. And he invited him inside, and he became an employee. And eventually, in a couple years, owned half of the business. And in another couple years, I forget what the number was, he owned the entire restaurant.
Wow.
And now he's a real entrepreneur with his own business in coaching and things. And he sells programs in his coaching content, whatever that involves, that is $105,000 for one client.
Wow.
So you talk about having a worldview of pretty much everything you try doesn't work. That's my worldview right there.
Okay, and how would you describe, now I hear a lot of vibrancy in your voice, and so how would you describe a stagnant life compared to a vibrant life? What does a stagnant life look like?
Well, stagnant life can happen at many levels. So wherever any of our listeners might be at, or you or myself, we need to measure that sometimes and say, how stagnant am I right now, and how vibrant am I? And if you look at a tomato plant, when a tomato is green, it's growing. When it's ripe, it'll start rotting. So we want to stay in the growing vegetative stage, because we're just not designed to become stagnant. We know what stagnant water becomes. It becomes mosquito infested, and it's dirty, and it's got bacteria, smelly bacterias in it. And we were designed to be overflowing and giving of ourselves to others. And the more we give to others, the more that we have to learn. And it's like we can never land in one spot and just stay there. Right. Sometimes we have a little resting place, and it's healthy and right. But that's what I look as a vibrant life, when you're challenging yourself and becoming that source of life for someone else, or energy, and where they're around you and they say, I don't know what it is about you, but I'd like to spend more time with you.
Right, right. It's very, very attractive when you're living a vibrant life. And I think some of us, as we get older, sometimes we're in a rut, and we can become stagnant because we feel like we're less than or not as valuable as, but you are. And I guarantee you, as we get older, we can live a vibrant life that increases. My vibrancy in the last, 4 or 5 years has increased 100-fold, because it's so exciting, as Marian's saying. If we start giving from our overflowing heart, it keeps coming back to us. And so It never gets stagnant, because it's a force. It's a, and it's exciting, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Yeah,
I agree with you. I've got a goal where I want to be able to, I'm a Christian, and I would like to be able to pray for people and to be able to worship in the last week of my life. And that means I'm going to have to keep that vibrancy in that the entire life, or I won't have it on my last week.
I love it. I love that goal. Okay, so we're almost out of time. I want you to tell us a little bit about your free gift and how the audience can get a hold of you.
I've got a chapter written. It's an compilation book, but the chapter's available on my website, and you can do that with a free download. You can go to marianmcspadden.com, or if it's easier, do everythingyouTry.com. everythingyouTry.com. There's also a little button on there with a connect with me, and you can get on my scheduler, and we can have a live phone conversation.
Ooh, just like this.
Just like this.
I love it. All right. I have another question for you. What would be the legacy that you would like to leave behind? How do you want to be remembered by your family and friends? You talked about you wanted to be able to worship until your last chapter, which I love. What is the legacy you want to leave for your family and friends?
Well, they say the dash on your number on your tombstone is the important part. It's not so much what the length of the number is, but that little dash in between on your tombstone. And if it could say that Marian was a constant, strong, solid person that we could go to and know that she would always be that way, I think that would be a really good goal of mine. Right. Stability that other people can look to.
It's almost like you'd be a rock. You're solid. You're there for people. Beautiful. Yes. I love that. I love it. Well, thank you for coming in for 2 weeks. This has just been fabulous. I've loved it.
Thank you, Lorraine.
Yes, and for the audience, I would suggest that you go to her website. If you need help for inspiration, feel free to book a call with her and get some of her insights, because Marian has broken free and she's on the other side and she wants to inspire you. So I am so thankful she came in today. And remember out there, it is never too late to break free or to throw out the imp, like she said. Never too late. And it's never too late to stop listening to those voices. You are beautiful. I care about you. Marian cares about you. And our next chapter is going to be the best chapter of our life. Let's choose life, joy, and ourselves so that we can influence the world for good. Thank you for being here today. And thank you, Marian, for coming in.